A month ago I reviewed the Zhiyun Smooth Q, which is a great gimbal for your phone, but for more professional work, this is the Zhiyun Crane V2, the bigger brother designed for mirrorless or light DSLR cameras like my Panasonic G7. Gimbals are great for bringing perspective to a location, chasing a subject on the move, or just trying to be creative by adding some motion. Hi, I'm David, and this is the Zhiyun Crane V2. So just a disclaimer, I'm still learning how to properly use this gimbal, but even still, I'm pretty amazed at the results I'm able to get on my first couple tries testing the gimbal out on my Panasonic G7. Walking up a hill, walking backwards, even running, I'm actually really surprised how steady the footage came out. But there's still some bumps and shakes that will require me to practice some better technique in the future. This being the version 2 of the Zhiyun Crane, let's look at what's new versus the original. The joystick button is a little larger, and the buttons have been repositioned on a shorter handle. The V2 only uses the larger 26,500 mAh batteries, with only 2 included in the box. The thread at the bottom has a removable adapter to support either a 1/4-20 or a 3/8 inch screw, and adjusting the camera balance is quicker with a movable mounting plate. But as far as I'm aware, the motor and overall performance between the two should be exactly the same. So there isn't a huge reason to upgrade from the V1 if you already have it, but I recommend the new version if you're looking to get one. On the topic of performance, not only does it work really well, it's actually really simple to use. I'm not going to cover how to balance the gimbal because there's already dozens of other great guides out there that show this, but for me, after a bit of practice, it only takes me about 2 minutes to balance a camera from scratch, or much less if I'm using the same equipment each time, and pretty much instant if I'm using a quick release plate. Something else to keep in mind, the body and lens combo might not balance perfectly out of the box. For example, if I use my Panasonic G7 with a kit lens and no additional accessories, the lens is way too light compared to the body. So even if I push the mounting plate all the way to the front, it still tilts towards the back. If you run into the same issue, adding additional lens accessories or using an adapter to shift the balance forward will help, but even if you can't get it perfect, on my lighter G7 setup, the motors are perfectly capable to counteract the imbalance. But it will use more battery if you run it like this, so it isn't ideal if you can avoid it. The operation of the Zhiyun Crane can be a little confusing at first, but it is quick to get used to after a little practice. By default, you're in the pan follow mode where the tilt and roll rotations are locked, and the gimbal will smoothly follow your pan rotation, and the joystick can be used to adjust the tilt. I like using this mode the most, especially if I'm walking and following someone around. Clicking the mode button once switches it to full locked mode, so tilt, roll, and pan are all locked, and you can use the joystick to adjust pan and tilt. This is my preferred mode if I'm running alongside a subject or want to get that perfect jib crane movement. Clicking the mode button twice switches me to pan and tilt follow mode, so the camera follows wherever you point it and the joystick just controls the roll axis. I don't use this mode as much, but it's a nice mode for more casual video shooting where I just need to easily direct the camera in any direction without the use of the joystick. And finally, triple clicking the mode button switches it around to selfie mode. I also really like using this gimbal in inverted mode for lower ground shots. Switching between normal and inverted mode on smaller cameras is as easy as rotating the handle around the side. But on larger cameras like the GH5, the arm bracket will hit if you try to do this. So instead, you'll need to move the camera screen out of the way and force the rotation on the other side. Not as easy as it is on my G7, but still fairly quick to switch. The battery life is also really good and quoted to last up to 12 hours of use. And while I haven't used it for that long on a single charge, I've never really been worried about running out of battery on a day of shooting so far with my testing. Something else to note, this micro USB port on the gimbal is only for firmware updates, and this one is only for the extra camera control cable that isn't included in the box, so you can't power or charge the battery while inside the gimbal. Build quality is another good thing with the device. It's pretty much metal build construction everywhere, and you can definitely feel the weight. At just under 1.1 kilograms for just the gimbal, plus whatever camera you're using, it's no lightweight, but manageable for a day of shooting. And finally, quickly looking at the app on my Android phone, from here you can control the gimbal wirelessly, but what I really like about the app is the ease to make adjustments to the gimbal motors. I like my pans and tilts to be a little smoother, and for them to move slower to minimize my accidental movements. This is super easy to change in the app and allows me to continue to tweak and find the perfect settings. So that's a Zhiyun Crane V2 gimbal, designed for mirrorless cameras and smaller DSLRs. I'm still learning how to get the most out of it, but overall I'm really pleased with the ease of use, performance, and I'm excited to see what other shots I can dream up with using this gimbal. But hope you guys enjoyed this one, you know what to do, and I'll see you in the next video.